How are you doing? All right, so I am so excited this evening. I have a lot of energy for late at night. I did not get this live done this morning because it was so busy, but I am excited that I am here to talk to you now. All right, so what are we talking about today? Today we are talking about self-awareness. I want you to know, so I'm talking about self-awareness as it relates to leadership, but this is for everybody. Like, this is literally a word for everyone. All right, so I woke up this morning and I was in such good spirits, and then I started reading my daily devotional stuff, and I literally was thinking about what did I want to talk about today. And so the first thing that actually came to my mind, I wrote myself some notes, y'all. So the first thing that I wrote down, so I'm going to give y'all a scripture first, but then I'm going to give y'all a lesson. Okay, so the scripture that I wrote down that I meditated on this morning is Matthew 7:7. And it says, "Ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find. Knock and it will be open to you. For everyone who asks receives, and he who seeks finds, and to him who knocks it will be opened." All right, so why did that matter? Because in order for you to seek things, you have to be self-aware. And why do I say that? Have you ever noticed that there be times where a person is just sitting and kind of waddling in whatever their situation is, right? But you may get frustrated because they're not actively seeking a solution. Instead, they're in a space where they are complacent and they are really okay with just sitting in their mess, right? So what I thought about that is that there's a lot of people that'll read devotionals or read the Bible or do whatever it is that they do in their life, but they have not learned how to be self-seeking. And in order to seek something greater than yourself, a solution that might be beyond you, you really have to be self-aware for that. So when I was thinking about that particular scripture, what it made me think about was, what does it take for people to be self-aware? So for all my friends that might catch this replay, they literally know that I will read anything that you put in front of me. I love reading. I love learning, which is why I'm so good at developing people, because I'm willing to take the time to go and find out the information, seek it for myself, learn it for myself, apply it, know what works, know how to discard things. But also, I know how to take concepts and break them down and share them with other people so that they can determine whether that information will work for them. So one of the books I read, y'all, that really changed my life was The 4 Agreements by Miguel Ruiz. So there are 4 agreements. I'm not going to go over all 4. I'm going to talk about the one that applies to today's lesson that I'm going over as it relates to self-awareness. So the first agreement is to be impeccable with your word. I'm going to say that again. The first agreement is to be impeccable with your word. Now, bat my eyes. All right. Most people think when they read that or they hear being impeccable with their word, they think that that means to tell the truth to others. But if you really dig deeper into that agreement is saying that the biggest original sin of man is to lie to yourself. Because when you lie to yourself, you are not honoring yourself and you are not honoring God. Y'all feeling me on that? When you lie to yourself, you are not honoring yourself and you are not honoring God. So what's important about that, right? So I wrote this note because I was like, man, this really made sense to me as I was reading and I was studying and I was thinking about self-awareness and what I was going to share today. So this is what I wrote. I wrote that if you lie to yourself, that sets off a chain of events or a ripple effect. When you lie to you because you're not aware of who you are, what you want, whose you are, the first thing that will happen is you will negatively impact other people because you don't know you well enough. You don't know why you do what you do. You don't understand what triggers you. You don't know any of those things. So if and the ripple effect of you not being self-aware has the ability to be massively destructive everywhere you go. It's destructive in your family, it is destructive in your business, and it is destructive with your clients. So I want y'all to understand that. If you can't be impeccable with your word, if you don't have the ability to tell yourself the truth and to be aware of who you are and where you are and what's going on with you, that ripple effect affects everyone around you. That includes your team. It includes your family. It includes your clients. It includes the people that you collaborate with. So self-awareness is so important because it means that you have to get aligned with some things in your life. Now, whatever your belief system is, that's even part of the self-awareness. So let's get into it. I don't know how y'all felt about that, but that made me feel all good to give that preface just to share with you. I wanted you to know my motivation for how I arrived at the fact that today's topic was going to be self-awareness, right? So, number one, y'all gonna see me look over here because I always got notes, y'all. I always got notes. All right, so number one, I talked about this in a previous live, so y'all should go check that one out. I label all of them. Number one, what self-awareness helps you with as a leader is that it helps you, it's one of the key elements of emotional intelligence, right? So being self-aware is a huge part of emotional intelligence, right? And why does that matter? Because emotional intelligence as a leader means that you are able to identify and manage. Y'all hear that? Manage, identify and manage your own emotions. I'm going to pause there for a second. I need y'all to digest that. So emotional intelligence is the ability of you to identify and manage your own emotions. And guess what? When you manage your own emotions, you become a beacon for others. Because others will see your example. They'll be like, oh my God, like that would have really pissed me off. And that person handled that like a G, right? I'm saying that it's not okay to just identify your emotions, but you need to be able to manage them. You need to be able to manage them in the presence of joy, but you also need to be able to manage them in times that are challenging. So that's number one. I'm going to give y'all 5 things today. Number one is that self-awareness is a key component to emotional intelligence, and emotional intelligence is really about you identifying and managing your emotions, because guess what? When you do that, you have the ability to influence those around you and those, specifically those on your team. All right. Y'all ready for number 2? Number 2. Give me some hearts if the first one worked for you. If you thought about the first one, if you know that, and if you implement that with your team, give me a heart or drop a comment in the chat. So, number 2 is self-awareness requires really deep introspection. Like you literally have to sit down and make a conscious decision to think about you, your emotions, your actions. It also means that you have to recognize who you are as an individual, not you as a collective, not you, the person's spouse, not you, someone's mother, not you, someone's employee. This is you. When you are by yourself, who the heck are you? When no one is looking at you, who are you when you are sitting in self? I'm going to tell you, who are you when you are alone by yourself in the bathroom? Like, who is that person, right? And what does that person believe? How does that person think? What is their spiritual state of health? Like, what emotions are flowing through you? What motivates you? What do you desire? And again, this is about you thinking from just a oneness, right? Just you, not adding anyone else into the equation. Who are you by yourself as an individual? What do you think? What do you believe? And this is so important because so many of us, we really believe the stuff our parents told us to believe. We believe the stuff the people in our family told us to believe. We might even be holding on to some stuff our teachers told us or some people from the church told us. Just because they told you doesn't mean it's right. And also, it doesn't mean you need to hold on to it, because if a belief no longer serves you and if it's not helping you grow and it's keeping you stagnant, then why are you holding on to that belief? When you become self-aware, you literally go and identify the things that you believe right now. And then you assess those things and you ask yourself, are these things making life easier for me? Is it making it better? Is it helping me communicate and collaborate with people? Is it moving my trajectory forward? Am I happy? Do I have joy? Right? And then once you sit there and you think about that, it gives you an opportunity to really say, maybe there are some things that I need to remove out of my life. Because as I am becoming self-aware, I am understanding that these things don't make me happy. They don't serve me. I was doing that stuff for somebody else. You need to be impeccable with your word, but not to other people. You need to be impeccable with your word to yourself. Keep some promises to yourself. All right, that was number 2. Or was that number 3? I think it was number 2. All right, number 3 is... I'm sorry. Hold on, y'all. I'm gonna go back because I want to make sure I'm getting my numbers right. So number 1 is that self-awareness is a key element of emotional intelligence. Number 1, ding, ding. All right. Number 2, self-awareness is a introspective activity. It's not supposed to include other people. Just supposed to be you. It's a one-man game, right? All right. Like solitaire. If you play solitaire, that's a one-man game. You're not supposed to play that with other people. All right. Number 3 is... This is so important, y'all, because as a trainer, it is my favorite thing to do. Self-awareness requires that you ask yourself the right questions. Yep. You really have to sit and ask yourself the difficult questions, the hard questions. So this brings me to another book. I have a book called, I think it's like 1,000 Beautiful Questions. And it is so many questions that I never even thought to ask myself. I haven't finished the book, but it's amazing. I'm about halfway through. But it's not one of those books that you do as a quick read. It's actually more of a study book where you read it just so that you can ask yourself these kind of introspective questions. But self-awareness is really where you ask yourself a series of questions that make you think about where you are and temperature check yourself. Some people may have heard of shadow work, right? This is really a key component to shadow work. Asking yourself the hard questions and really digging into how did you arrive at becoming the person you are today, right? Like sometimes the question might be, who hurt you? Like, they say hurt people, but who hurt you? What trauma did you go through in your life that led you to the place where you currently are in your life? And then asking yourself, am I treating other people like that because I'm still holding on to that and I haven't relieved myself of that? I haven't given that to God. I haven't given that. You can return stuff back to sender, y'all. Like I learned the art of just because somebody hurt you don't mean you got to hold on to that. Sometimes you got to pray for that person, put them on your prayer list and send that junk back to them because you don't need that. That's not even yours to carry. That is not your ministry. Your only ministry is you. You are supposed to take care of you first, and then that way you can help others from the overflow. So I'm going to give you some questions that you might want to ask yourself, okay? Number 1, you can ask yourself, did I do my best today? I did that yesterday. Yesterday, I literally wrote myself a note in my journal that said, today I did my best, and that will suffice. And that made me happy. Because I actually asked myself the question. The question was, Tiffany, did you do your best today? I had a very busy day. I wasn't sure I completed all the things I desired to complete, but I did my best that day, yesterday. I did my best because I didn't go off on nobody. You know what I did, y'all? I identified and I managed my emotions all day yesterday. And that is so important. Another question that you could ask yourself is, what did I learn today? Because often we might have a bad day and we think it's bad, but there were so many lessons in that day. Did you learn something new? Did you learn a new way to handle something? Did you learn how to be better as a result of whatever your challenge was? And then another question, did I celebrate myself today? Did I honor myself today? Did I find joy in the knowing and the being of me? Because you got to have some days where you really just say to yourself, you know what, dang nabbit, I'm good. I'm good. And then just rest on that. It's okay. All right, so that was number 3. So let's get to number 4. We almost done, y'all. Thank y'all for hanging out with me and sticking it out to the end. All right, so the next one is self-awareness is often triggered by some type of event, some kind of traumatic event. Think about it. Most people operate in a space where, if you ever met somebody who has a really bad attitude, and they have no clue that they have a bad attitude, they be just like, this is just who I am. No, you're not. As a baby, you was not born with a bad attitude, boo. That's not what happened. Something happened to you. Your environment shaped you, right? So a lot of times, self-awareness can actually be triggered by something, a life event that happened, or something that triggered you, or a challenge that made you realize I need to be more self-aware. And as a leader, let me tell you how that might show up in your life. Some people may get fired. I'm just being honest. Let me just tell you, you may get fired from your job. You may get laid off. You may go through a divorce. You may lose a spouse. You may get chronically ill. There could be all kinds of things that could happen in your life that could trigger you having a self-awareness moment. But I want to challenge you that if that has happened and you didn't lean into it and embrace it, go ahead and do that. Because there's nothing wrong with learning more about yourself. And I'll tell you why in a little bit. So that was number 4. Number 5 is self-awareness really requires for you to spend some time spending 100% on yourself, thinking about you, focusing on you. To be self-aware and to go through self-awareness activities, you have to be willing to close a door, get into a space by yourself, and stop thinking about the world around you. You need to be able to sit down and really focus on, who am I? Whose am I? What do I desire? What do I need? What do I need to honor myself and to feel myself, to make myself happy, so that I am operating in that space when I arrive around other people, right? And then just thinking about it like this, when you are focusing 100% on yourself, it really takes some self-discipline. Now, don't that sound weird, y'all? You got to have some self-discipline to have some self-awareness so you can focus on yourself. I don't know what that is, but it sounds like a word to me, right? But you have to discipline yourself to take time out for yourself every day. Here's why. The world is not going to collapse if you take 30 to 45 minutes to yourself every day and honor you. Build a plan. What do you want to do? What do you want out of yourself for today? Right? And I tell people, do that in the morning. Set your intentions in the morning. Because if you set your intentions in the morning, guess what? You got a whole day to get it right. Right? But self-awareness does require that you spend 100% focusing on yourself for some period of time. And you should be doing that every day. People talk about self-care. When I tell you the best self-care, the best gift you can give yourself is to be self-aware, because it is the gift that keeps giving. When you know you can share you with others. Because until then, you don't even know what you're sharing with other people. You sharing whoever you show up as, and you are not showing up consistently when you don't know yourself. When you know yourself, you can show up consistently and wholly, and you can also show up as a person who can give service and a person who can bring value. Now, am I saying you're going to use your self-awareness every single day? And probably not. You might not. I'm just saying, you might not. Everybody going to have a bad day. But here's the thing. Part of self-awareness is knowing that you had a bad day, forgiving yourself, and starting over the next day. So anyway, I don't know if that was 5, but it felt like it was made way more than 5. So that's where I'm going to stop. So I have a thought that I want to share with you all, and I'm testing it out. So y'all got to tell me if you like it. And so shout out to Christina for being on. Christina is actually the inspiration for the thing that I'm going to read to y'all now. So thank you very much, Christina, for being here and for staying on. Hey, P. Baldwin, I appreciate you. I was dropping some good gems. You got to catch the replay. We were talking about self-awareness and how it impacts your ability to be an amazing leader. So I'm wrapping it up, but I want to share a personal note and something that is very near and dear to my heart. I was asked by my PR extraordinaire, Christina Sanderson. She asked me to do a broadcast, right? And that was, I'm not going to share her secret, but what she wanted me to do is to write a message in 60 seconds. Right? And it was a message that had to be really important to me. And one of the things that I thought about was I care so much about self-awareness because I care about delivering the understanding of self-awareness and how it impacts leadership, how it impacts development of employees, how it impacts personal development, because it means so much. Because until you can get a hold of yourself, you can't really be your best. You can't be your best person. You can't be your best human, right? And then leaders have to be at their best because you're responsible for getting the best out of others. And how do you get that out of others if you don't know how? So anyway, here's my message. Y'all ready? Okay. I'm a little nervous, and I'm not normally nervous, y'all, but I'm shy. Okay. Oh, P. Baldwin. Thank you. I think I am sweet. God made me that way, and I'm okay with that. All right, so listen. Your life in the beginning will be a beautiful, hot mess because you'll chase external solutions. It is only when you shift to internal and eternal seeking that you will find peace. Your entire life should be focused and dedicated only to proving to yourself that you are the epicenter of spirit. You are the value, you are the gold, you are the resource, and you are the solution. When you align with your creator, you are revealed to yourself. And when you become self-aware, you will illuminate and become powerful, a power source and a spirit source for everything and everyone around you. I encourage you to be curious about yourself. And then once you have a knowing of you, then share you with the world. I just want you to also know that your journey to self is the most powerful thing that you can ever do in your life. And with that, I'm going to tell you all good night. Thank you so much. If you think that this was a good live about self-awareness, please tag someone that might need to hear it. Somebody might just need to experience my energy, because I want y'all to know that I wake up like this and I do everything I can to keep myself in this spirit, but I do it because I love me. And it took a long time for me to get here, and that is my superpower now, loving me. So if someone needs to hear this, tag them in it, share it with people, whatever it is that you need to do, because I'm really over here trying to spread some joy and some self-awareness. So until the next time I talk to you all, bye.